Hey folks, welcome to the channel. I'm Don. I'm taking a look at a psychological perspective from Carl Jung, who is a Swiss psychotherapist. I think he's considered to be like the father of analytical psychology, if there is such a thing. And we like to follow different strains of reasoning and find things that'll be helpful to improve our qualities of life. And but he was born in 1875, and YouTube recommended this video to me. And is death the end? I'm curious to see what he's got to say about it, because I like looking at various strains of thought, see if anything can enhance my quality of life. But even just keeping the brain going and considering things and keeping yourself curious is, I think, generally a healthy thing. Some people are very fond of answers. I'm kind of fond of questions. All right, let's see what he's got.
Remember, you said that death is psychologically just as important as birth. And like it, it's an integral part of life. But surely it can't be like birth if it's an end, can it?
Yes, if it's an end. And there we are not quite certain about this end. Because, you know, there are these peculiar faculties of the psyche that it isn't entirely confined to space and time. You can have dreams or visions of the future. You can see round corners and such things. Only ignorance deny these facts. It's quite evident that they do exist and have existed always.
I like that. You can kind of expand your line of thinking, if you will. I like that. You could see around corners, and you can't like visually see around corners, but you can conceptualize what's around corners. But as far as like envisioning the future, does that mean we exist in the future? Because and I guess this certainly leads to more questions about what constitutes existence. But the idea of birth and death being sort of part of the same package, which isn't what the questioner had asked, but it's not far from it, that even though death is an end, and Jung said, is it an end? We don't know. It may not be. That's the thing about belief, not belief, whatever, in an afterlife, that whether you're a hardcore atheist, whether you're a hardcore Christian, for example, and believe absolutely Jesus is coming back and Judgment Day and all this, the unfortunate part of the package for humans is we have to die to find out. And the hardcore Christian would say, no, we don't. We don't have to die. We know. We can read it. It says right here in our Bible. Well, the Bible has been not a substitute for the scientific method, but it is just the input variables that we're using. And they're subject to critique. And we can see that there are issues with the texts, or just the process of saying, here, this is what other people have written, and I'm interpreting it perfectly, and therefore my understanding is perfect, and therefore I know what the future holds. The atheistic, say, scientist who relies exclusively on science. Somebody left a comment a few days ago based on a video that I had done about what happens when we die, and he said, I'll tell you what happens when we die. The body decomposes, and that's it, in a sense. And I'm like, well, it may not be it. The unfortunate thing is we still have to die to find out. But those are your input variables. Whatever you're taking from the scientific realm is also subject to limitations and critique and problems. And so some people consider the scientific method more reliable than the biblical texts, and I agree with it, because I think the texts themselves, the way they're written, the canonization of them were put into the Bible, the voting that took place, all the means by which this information came down to us is subject to criticism, critique. Scientific method is too, but it does seem, from my standpoint, of course, that what we can see in science is more reliable. So, I can pray that my toothache goes away, but it lingers. But when I go to the dentist, who's relying on the scientific method and how the drill bits work and the materials put into the tooth and anesthesia, all the product of scientific inquiry and successes, I find that this does work better for me, improves my quality of life immediately and in the long term versus just, say, simply praying for it to go away. So that's my experience, for instance. So Jung has made a good point, which is my point. We simply don't know what's coming down the pike. We could say that there's no life after death, but we have no basis for saying that. And we can say that there absolutely is life after death, and we don't have a basis that's, in my estimation, that's convincing of that either. That's why I'm an agnostic, but I leave the door open, and why listening to things like this causes me no difficulty. So, all right, guys, leave your comments, subscribe if you would. It's fun to go down these paths. He was speaking more philosophically than psychologically, but philosophy and psychology go hand in hand because thought is the product of mind, and philosophical inquiry or questioning and thought is all involves psychology. So, all right, guys, have a great day. See you on another video and keep thinking philosophically. Hey, folks, if you want to take the personality test that I created for my life coaching practice, which is based on the book that I wrote, put your phone up, turn it on camera, and focus on this, and it'll take you to it. And it'll take you about 20 minutes to complete the test. It's free, and you'll get some information on your personality. It's quite detailed, quite revealing. It's kind of fun as well. And I'll be leaving this QR code up on the wall behind me for my regular videos. So I hope you take it, and I hope you enjoy it.